morning, everyone. Myself Urizi Rehana, working as a nursing tutor in Knowledge Institute of Nursing. So, as we have previously seen, only congenital heart disease, we learn about rheumatic heart disease, rheumatic fever. Today, in cardiovascular system, this is the last condition that we are going to learn, which is congestive cardiac failure, that is CCF. First is introduction. So, congestive cardiac failure or heart failure does not mean the heart has stopped working. Rather, it means that the heart's pumping power is weaker than normal. Okay. So, usually we all understand, like whenever someone said that this patient is having heart failure, so we think that the heart has totally stopped its function. Okay, heart has totally stopped working, but heart failure doesn't mean that the heart has stopped working, but it means that the heart's pumping power is weaker. Okay, it gets weaker than the normal. With heart failure, blood moves through the heart and body at a slower rate, and pressure in the heart increases. As a result, the heart cannot pump enough oxygen and nutrients to meet the body's need. So in heart failure, what happens? So blood cannot move through the heart and body at a slower rate. Okay, so blood reaches the different organs at a slow rate. Okay, because the heart function is getting weaker in heart failure. So because of this, the pressure in the heart will increase, and the heart cannot supply enough oxygen and nutrients to meet the body's needs. So this was introduction. Now we will learn about definition of the congestive cardiac failure. So CCF means inability of the heart to maintain an output at rest or during stress necessary for the metabolic needs of the body, that is systolic failure, and inability to receive blood into the ventricular cavities at low pressure during diastole, that is called as diastolic failure. So in CCF, the heart is unable to maintain an output. Okay, that is cardiac output. Cardiac out means the amount, the volume of blood that is being pumped by the heart. Okay, so heart cannot maintain this output. So because of this, there will be this will result into the heart cannot meet the metabolic needs of the body, and heart will unable to receive blood into the ventricular cavities at low pressure during diastole. Okay, so when the ventricles relax. Okay, so when right ventricle and left ventricle relax, at that time atrium blood enters into the ventricles. Okay, but when the patient is having congestive cardiac failure, at that time ventricles, even at the diastolic time, the blood will not fill. Okay, the blood will not fill in enough quantity. So that is called as congestive cardiac failure. So in congestive cardiac failure, there will be systolic failure and diastolic failure. Other names of congestive cardiac failure is heart failure and congestive heart failure. CCF is a common pediatric emergency, as we are learning this condition in pediatric nursing. Okay, that is child health nursing. So one of the commonest emergency in pediatric is CCF. Congestive cardiac failure. So in definition, we have seen about diastolic failure and systolic failure. So let's see what is diastolic heart failure and what is systolic heart failure. So diastolic dysfunction refers to an abnormality in how the heart fills with blood during diastole. Okay, as I explained before only, that when the ventricles diastole, when the ventricles relax, at that time atrium blood enters into the ventricle. Okay, it fills into the ventricles. But when there is diastolic heart failure, at that time, even at the diastolic period, also heart will the ventricles will not be filled with enough blood. That is called as diastolic dysfunction. The heart muscles do not relax in a normal manner, and the heart may fill too slowly, asynchronously, or with an elevation in filling pressure only. Next is systolic heart failure. So the left ventricle loses its ability to contract normally. The heart can't pump with enough force to push enough blood into circulation. Okay. So when there is systolic heart failure, that is when the left ventricle contracts. At that time, it pushes the blood into the different organs. That is, oxygenated blood is supplied by the left ventricle to all the system. But when there is systolic heart failure, the left ventricle can't supply enough blood with pressure to this system. So that is called as systolic heart failure. Next is etiology. So first, congestive cardiac failure may result due to congenital heart disease. Okay, so previously we have seen all the congenital heart disease. So in pathophysiology also we have seen that in many congenital heart disease the condition ends with congestive heart failure only. Okay, so one of the reason for congestive cardiac failure is congenital heart disease. So congenital heart disease are atrial septal defect, ventricular septal defect, patent ductus arteriosus. So these are congenital heart disease. Then paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. Okay, that is PST. Okay, in this condition, there is rapid heartbeat. Okay, heart doesn't get enough time to fill before it contracts again. Then next is acquired heart disease condition. Okay, so in acquired heart disease there will be it may be due to acute rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease. Then myocarditis means inflammation of middle layer of the heart wall. Then hypertension, then cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy is a disease of heart muscle that makes it harder for the heart to pump blood to rest of the body, and in this condition heart is abnormally enlarged. Then non-cardiovascular disease like chronic pulmonary disease, that is COPD. COPD, it is a group of lung disease that block airflow, and this disease involves in COPD are emphysema, chronic bronchitis, etc. Then respiratory infection, anemia, nephrotic syndrome. Nephrotic syndrome, it is a kidney disorder that causes your body to pass too much protein in your urine, and this will damage to small blood vessels that filters the waste. Then iatrogenic fluid overload. Okay, that is too much fluid in the blood. So these were all the causes of congestive cardiac failure. Now we will learn about pathophysiology. So in pathophysiology, first there is decreased cardiac output leads to inadequate supply of oxygen and nutrition to the tissue. Okay. So in congestive cardiac failure, we have seen previously in definition only that the heart doesn't stop its work. Okay, but the works get slow. Okay, so the heart's function will become weak. So because of this, there will be decreased cardiac output. So as there is decreased cardiac output, the tissues will not get enough oxygen and nutrition. That is, there will be inadequate supply of oxygen and nutrition to the tissue. To meet these metabolic needs, demands of the body, the heart rate increases to enhance cardiac output, which results to increased stroke volume. Okay, so as the tissues are not getting enough oxygen and nutrition, so what the heart will do to meet these metabolic needs, heart rate will increase. Okay, so as heart rate increases, so maybe that the cardiac output also increases, so which results to increased stroke volume. Cardiac output is equal to heart rate into stroke volume. Stroke volume means volume of blood that is pumped from the left ventricle per unit. The systemic vascular resistance increases to maintain blood pressure. Reduced blood flow to the kidneys decreases glomerular filtration rate, and tubular reabsorption increases, causing sodium and water retention, leading to edema and diminished urine output. Okay, so as we have seen in previous sentence only, that the body will not get enough oxygen and nutrition, plus blood supply will also be decreased to all the system. So in pathophysiology they are saying that as there is also reduced blood flow to the kidneys. Okay, so because of reduced blood flow to the kidneys, the GMR will decrease and tubular reabsorption will increase. Tubular reabsorption means it is the process by which nephron removes water and solutes from the tubular fluid and returns them to the circulating blood. So tubular reabsorption will increase, and because of this there will be sodium and water retention. As there is sodium and water retention, there will be edema in patient and urine output will diminish, that is decrease. Thus cardiac output decreases further. Increases venous pressure due to poor contraction of failing heart results in venous congestion and edema. Okay, so the blood will increase in the veins. Okay, so in veins pressure will increase, and this will result into venous congestion and edema. Pulmonary system becomes congested. In chronic long-term illness, myocardial failure, myocardial hypertrophy and chamber dilation lead to progressive heart failure. So this was the pathophysiology. Now we will learn about clinical manifestations. So the clinical features of congestive cardiac failure are related to impaired myocardial function, pulmonary congestion, and systemic venous congestion. So when there is impaired myocardial function, the symptoms will be tachycardia, that is increase in heart rate, poor peripheral perfusion. Perfusion means delivery of blood to a capillary bed in tissue with weak peripheral pulse and cool extremities. Okay, then pallor, easy fatiguability, excessive perspiration, restlessness, exercise or activity intolerance. When there will be pulmonary congestions, at that time symptoms will be tachypnea, cyanosis, chest retraction, nasal flaring, grunting, that is a breathing sound. Then non-productive persistent cough, pulmonary edema with dyspnea at rest or orthopnea or on exertion. Next is systemic venous congestion. It is presented as hepatomegaly, then peripheral edema, scrotal and orbital edema, oliguria, water weight gain, neck vein distension, abdominal discomfort, anorexia, and feeding difficulties. Next is diagnostic test. So in diagnostic evaluation, first we are taking history, okay, history collection. So patient history may include gathering information about the following. So in history, we have to take about alcohol and drug abuse, then history of hypertension, including its treatment and prior any chest pain or heart attack was there or not. Then recent any viral illness, then recent pregnancy, then physical examination, we have to assess the heart function with the help of stethoscope. We have to detect the abnormal heart sound, and the physician also looks for enlarged distended veins in the neck and for swelling, that is edema in the legs, particularly the ankles and feet and or the abdomen. Then ECG, that is electrocardiogram, then echocardiogram, then cardiac catheterization, stress test, or exercise test. So in this test, a patient simply walks on a treadmill while connected to an ECG. Then dobutamine stress echocardiography. So in this diagnostic test, a drug that is dobutamine is infused into the bloodstream to increase the heart rate and to affect the flow of blood within the heart. And an echocardiogram is used to obtain images of the heart. Then next is magnetic resonance imaging. Then next is this chest X-ray. Then blood test. Next, we will learn about management of congestive cardiac failure. So, treating congestive heart failure, for that the easy is unload fast, that is used for upright position, nitrates, lasix, oxygen, AC inhibitor, digoxin, fluids decrease, afterload decrease, sodium restriction, anti-synthet digoxin level, ABG's potassium level. So first is lifestyle measures. So the first step in the treatment of heart failure may include limits on the amounts of fluid consumed, that is including alcohol and reduction in dietary sodium less than 2000 mg per day. Okay, so firstly in diet we have to restrict the alcohol intake and also we have to do dietary management. So we will reduce the sodium intake, that is it should be less than 2000 mg per day. In addition, follow your doctor's instruction on getting regular exercise, which can help prevent symptoms from worsening. So, as per the doctor's instruction, we have to do other measures, that is lifestyle measures. So, we have to do regular exercise to prevent the symptoms to get worse. Then, in medication, a variety of drugs may be used to manage heart failure. The drugs include first is ACE inhibitor. So ACE inhibitors such as enalapril and lisinopril are the choice of drug treatment for people with heart failure. Okay. So in a patient who is having heart failure, we are giving ACE inhibitors. In ACE inhibitor drugs are enalapril and lisinopril. So these are the choice of drug. And this drug promotes dilation of the blood vessels and thus improve blood flow and slow the progression of congestive heart disease. Okay, so these ACE inhibitors will dilate the blood vessels and because of this blood flow will improve. Then diuretics and digoxin. So the physician may prescribe diuretics to reduce fluid buildup and digoxin to strengthen the heartbeat. Thiazide diuretics are effective for mild heart failure, but more potent drugs such as the loop diuretic, that is furosemide, are used for severe fluid retention. Okay, so in sign and symptoms we have seen that there will be decreased urination. Okay, so for that we are giving diuretic so that we can that is used for severe fluid retention, and the drugs are furosemide, that is Lasix. This is more potent drug than beta blockers. So these drugs such as carvedilol and metoprolol also can decrease the workload of the heart. So beta blockers will decrease the workload of the heart. Then aldosterone blockers. So spironolactone and Inspra block the activity of aldosterone and adrenal hormone that causes sodium retention. So aldosterone blockers, this will block the adrenal hormone that is causing the sodium retention. Okay, now it will aldosterone blocks the activity of the aldosterone. Aldosterone, it is a hormone that causes sodium retention. So the drugs are spironolactone and eplerenone. Then next is drugs used to treat congestive heart failure. So as we have seen previously, we are using vasodilator, diuretics, and inotropic agents. Then beta blockers and calcium channel blockers. Diet should be planned with low salt for sodium restriction and to be given in small amounts frequently. Okay, so diet we have to plan with low salt for sodium restriction and to be given in small amount. Correction of anemia may be done by improving iron containing food intake whenever needed. So to correct anemia, we are giving iron-rich food to the patient. Correction of underlying cause of CCF should be seriously considered. Okay, so whatever cause is there, whether it is congenital heart disease or acquired heart disease, so that we have to consider, and for that appropriate cause we have to do appropriate management. Surgically manageable cases should be identified early and appropriate referral is needed for adequate management. Okay, so for whatever is the cause for that, if surgery is required, then we have to manage that cause by surgery. Like if there is adrenal septal defect, we have to manage that caused by the surgery. Dialysis may require in renal shutdowns, as we have seen in pathophysiology that it affects also the renal system. So for if there is renal shutdown, then we are going for dialysis. Cardiac transplantation may prove life-saving in some cases. Nursing care of patient with congestive heart failure, so maintain the patient in high collar position. Then we have to elevate extremities except when the patient is in acute distress. We have to frequently monitor vital signs. We have to change the position frequently, and we have to monitor intake and output strictly, and daily we have to check the weight. Then nursing care of patient with congestive heart failure. Again, cystic fluid disorder, we have to teach the patient and family and provide emotional support, explain the side effects of diuretics medication for additional actions. Then we have to use aseptic procedures when caring for invasive lines. Nursing diagnosis will be like decreased cardiac output, activity intolerance, fluid volume excess, impaired gas exchange anxiety, and deficit knowledge. So this was all about congestive cardiac failure. I hope that you all understood. For further videos, keep watching my video. Thank you everyone.